Let's talk about sex. It's time we slice through the smoke and mirrors. Sex down into the depth of relationships. Because we've got new.
Do you think people who are of opposite sex should cohabit?
Nah, I don't think so.
Have you ever cohabited with somebody
Yes.
of the opposite sex?
Yes.
If you live together, you can do things like, okay, you get one driver, you share one car.
Yes.
Cut down your
So
are you still saying no? Can you live
No,
together?
no. You stay in your house, I'm staying in mine. We're not living together.
On Love Lounge today, we are going to be talking about cohabiting with your other half or even friends with benefits. Should you do it? Are there any risks attached? Let's find out after the break. Welcome to this week's Love Lounge. I have with me Iceberg Slim. And Uche, who's an amazing relationship advisor as well. And don't give him relationship advice, please.
No, he doesn't need it.
Don't. Well, he needs it, but let's not rescue him from himself.
Yeah.
No. So let's get right into the fact that sometimes people find themselves in situations where they're hanging out with friends and they're like, oh, why don't we share apartments because it might be cheaper. Mm-hmm. Do you think people who are of opposite sex should cohabit?
In a relationship, absolutely.
No, just friends.
Just friends. Opposite sex, I mean, I've never wanted to share a bathroom with a guy, so that's why I've always said no. But I'm not sure that, nah, I don't think so. That would be my final answer. No, I don't think you should cohabit.
Iceberg?
I think it would probably depend on how long you guys have known each other. You kind of understand their habits and things like that, and you know that, okay, certain things they do won't get on your nerves and pet peeves and things like that. I guess once you understand each other, because those things can obviously lead to marriage and things like that, so you obviously have to cohabitate at some point. So, it's just
Uche is shaking her head like, no. So do you think that it's possible to live with a guy, as a woman, to live with a guy who you're just friends with, and there'll never be the day where you're just sitting there, you're watching movies, eating popcorn, and suddenly it's like, oh, look at my head in your lap.
Yes.
I slipped, fell, and landed on your...
And
no?
I think that's part of the danger. I'm sorry. It's not that I don't believe men and women can't be friends. It's just, why would you tempt yourself in some situations? Let's be honest. Very few people are friends with people that they don't find attractive in some sort of way. And the more that you know someone personally, even if you're not in a relationship with them or involved with them, things can happen because you're intimate with them in other ways that are not, necessarily sexual or a romantic relationship. But that's not the only fear. Like, really, you need space to be yourself. You need space to be a woman. You need space to be a man. I'm thinking of myself personally, I would have a serious problem if, and I have guy friends who are very popular, let me put it that way, and have lots of women around them. That would irritate me personally. So I'd just be like, oh, you think you're the only one. I'll be there spoiling his game, not because I'm a hater, but because I'm a hater, right? So I wouldn't want
You'd be like, oh, you bring your love rice today. That was up on the GM yesterday.
And it was correct.
Wow. Wow.
So, for me, that would be part of the issue. You just really need space, to be feminine. I really don't even believe in roommates, to be honest with you.
Well, rent in Nigeria is
ridiculous. Yes.
And I find for the most part, you can't, to get a one bed is tough. Yeah. And a lot of the places that I've been flat hunting for a bit now, a lot of them are actually built with families in mind. Yes. So it's easier to find a 3-bed or 4-bed than to get a 1-bed. Yeah. Or you get a 2-bed and the price just doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. Yes. So if you can't afford a 4-bed, obviously you're going to find somebody to share with. Yes. And what if, there's a guy who says, I'll take one room for myself, have the other room be my study room. Because some guys don't like, they don't need just the one room. Whereas if it's girls, we'll all take one room. So if having a 4-bed where there's just 2 people sharing makes sense instead of having a 4-bed where you have 5 people living in it, why not?
Yeah. Okay, so this is a real life example. I have in my current flat, my neighbors above me, it's a guy and 2 girls. I call them the artist collective because they're all into creative arts in some sort of way. And they fight for me, it's great because it's like free entertainment because I just open my windows like, oh, really? Ooh. But like, I think that's a part of it. And you're laughing. It's really, really funny. I should invite people over someday. So listen. But like, you know, it is. But a real part of why they fight is because they don't like, when the girls are talking, I'm like, why can't he just calm down and understand what she's saying? But he doesn't, you know, like things like leaving your clean laundry. And I'm not saying boys are dirty. I think maybe boys are just, or men are raised to be a little bit more, laid back about certain types of things. Like, okay, the last fight that they had upstairs was he left his clean laundry in the dryer. And she moved it and put it in a bin, in his laundry basket, which now had dirty clothes. She didn't know the clothes there were dirty. She moved it there because she needed to do her laundry. Now, I don't know many women that would just leave their clothes in the dryer for 4 days, which was her. Like, it's been there for 4 days and it was a great fight. But like little things like that, I think would keep escalating.
But do you think it's great practice to learn how to actually live with your eventual partner?
That's what I actually think it is. It's just a learning experience, really.
I'd like to find out from you guys when you think it's the best time to move in with someone you've been dating.
When you're married.
Really?
Yes.
I agree with you, Iceberg Slim. No.
I never thought I was old-fashioned, and in many ways I'm not. And it's not even an old-fashioned reason. Like, I'm just selfish. I think savor your time alone as much as possible because you have the rest of your lives to live together if that's what it gets to. But there are even reports that have come out that couples that cohabit before marriage always have a higher rate of divorce. I don't know what the correlation is, but that's even come out. But aside from that there's enough time to practice. You don't need practice. I think, if anything, living with someone before you are legally bound to each other increases your rate of separating.
I disagree because the way I see it is, this is something that I've told my friends. If somebody that you've been dating proposes to you, if you haven't lived with this person for more than 6 months, ideally I give it a year.
Yeah.
Don't just say yes and get married to the person.
Yes.
Because yes, you guys are great when you're on holiday or you see each other weekends, or let's be honest, with the way our traffic situation is in Nigeria, we're all in long distance relationships. Yeah. We all are. So the fact that you see each other at certain periods where you're not stressed out, whatever, doesn't mean that you know this person.
Yeah.
Until you've lived with a person, you know their routine, you know how they're grumpy at certain times, how they leave their laundry. You will learn over the months the parts of them that you really can't stand, and then that lets you know what, I need to get out of this relationship now.
And I think, so
you have to cohabit with them before you take that plunge into let's get married. That's my belief.
But full-time cohabitation, though, really?
Yes. Iceberg Slim.
Have
you lived with any partners?
I actually did at one point.
For how long and how did that work out?
It was a few months.
Wow.
It worked out okay, but it was a learning experience for me. And the reason why I say it worked out okay, because obviously I got out of the situation and I'm happy and everything
and
like
that's
that.
Key.
Life goes on, but the fact is it was a learning experience because I've lived with my parents, I've lived alone, I've lived with siblings. So it was an experience to say that, okay, this is what to expect when you get married or when anything like that.
Okay, let me ask you that. In that relationship, didn't you do like long sleepovers before you actually moved in together?
Definitely.
Where they stayed for like a week or two? So were you learning something vastly different with 24/7 for a few months?
A week or two is not enough because you're moving
like
a bag full of certain things and you go home and you replace
living out of a
no.
Like you must live together.
You must live together. You must deal with the dirty dishes.
Exactly.
You must deal with the
dirty
laundry.
Underwear,
No. Exactly.
Not flushing the toilet, all those kind of
I'm not
those little things.
It's just my spirit is disturbed. No, like I really like living by myself. That's where I am right now. So living with other people would be like a huge sacrifice for me. So
in general, then someone you're dating is another layer of
and I think
commitment.
Yeah, all it would do for me is just a faster breakup, to be very honest.
Now, there's a tweet here from that holy man who says, "Do not move in with him until you are married. Why will a man buy a cow when he's already getting the milk for free?"
I beg.
That's very
premium cow. There's no such thing. I don't. That's not.
Do you
understand? I don't necessarily believe in that, because if you want to get married, you want to get married.
Exactly.
There's no. If you're not, it's different. I don't
like
think
trying on the clothes before you buy it. There's nothing wrong with that. Obviously,
You have to make sure it's the right fit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that.
I don't believe that's why you shouldn't live together. I mean, sometimes there are economical reasons why it makes sense to live with your partner. Maybe he has a closer flat or she has a closer flat to the office. So why would you suffer? And, you know, just because you're not married because of milk for free. You're not milk, you're not a cow, you're fine.
If you live together, you can do things like, okay, you get one driver, you share one car.
Yes.
Exactly.
Definitely.
It cuts down your costs.
down
So
your
are you
costs.
still
Live
saying, no,
together.
can you live together?
No, you stay in your house, I'm staying in mine. We're not living together. No, but I know all the reasons, but I'd rather suffer and be by myself.
Does it help having rules before you move in? And then how do you make sure you
I don't
stick
think
to
you
those
can.
rules?
What kind of rules do you want to have
Like,
with your partner, though?
Make sure you're home before 8 p.m.
What?
Make sure you do your own
Wrong.
laundry and...
No, that's kind of no.
No?
See, that's the thing. Like, if I'm living with someone, right, because of how I believe a marriage for me would be, I would fully expect the, you know, sort of privileges of being your live-in partner.
Oh,
/wife.
we're talking about the benefits side. Welcome back to Love Lounge. Uche is about to explain to us the benefits you get from living with somebody.
Yes, I mean,
Like an ex.
Yeah.
Or a current boyfriend.
Or a current,
Or just
yeah.
a friend.
Yes.
Platonic friend.
Yes.
Or an
Okay.
ex.
So you do get a lot of. I would expect, you know, even if I wasn't married to someone and I'm living in his house or he's living with me, whatever the case may be, I would expect certain things. Like I really would fall into a traditional role of taking care of the house. That's what I know I would naturally fall into. But if that's not where our relationship is going, why would I? I don't feel that it's fair to me or to him to get those sort of benefits. I'm not talking about the sex part, but like, oh, the companionship all the time. That's not how they might want to live their lives. Do you get what I mean?
Do you think there's a risk that at some point in time, because this person of the opposite sex is living with you and he might turn out to be a nice guy or whatever it is, there's a risk that you then stop looking for somebody who's right for you because you have somebody who is the perfect guy living under your roof? You're just friends and you haven't even tried to venture into anything other than that.
Yeah.
But just because they're there, you're not out there looking for it. Do you think?
I think that can actually definitely happen in most cases, most scenarios. You just feel like, okay, there's already someone there that you come home to, you talk
Yeah,
to,
there's
you
conversation.
share, you know.
Go to the
But I mean,
movies with.
it really just comes
Cuddle.
down to your companionship with
Holds
the
your head over the
person.
toilet bowl when you've had one too many
Exactly,
tequilas,
that-
doesn't judge you.
Mhm. Exactly. It takes your clothes out the washing
Washing machine.
So I mean, no, but I think it still comes down to your companionship with that person, your connection with them on an emotional level. It's not just physical. It's just when you look at the person, and I think it's something you feel when you look at someone that you actually feel something for. It's not about what they do for you or what you do for them. It's kind of you just look at them and you just, wow, I love this guy, or I love this girl. Like, you know, I think when you have that, then I guess that's when you know, okay, this is the person. But if you don't feel that, then definitely.
When you're getting emotional fulfillment from your friendships and you're getting everything that you really need to be a balanced person, you either stop looking for it outside or you don't even realize that this romantic relationship you're in doesn't give you what you need because you're
Everything.
getting it from
You don't see the deficits
yeah,
because you're okay.
not,
okay.
you don't have a deficit.
Yeah.
So that's one of the problems that can arise. Like you're getting everything. This is someone that takes out your trash. You know, he sorts out the driver or the gate man and straighten things out for you. You really have no incentive. I mean, dating is hard. It's not fun for a lot of people, right? That whole process of getting to know someone. So when you have this, you know, perfect man in your house already, you might start looking at him romantically, and meanwhile he's there on, you know, you know,
Tinder,
on
whatever.
Tinder,
yeah.
yeah.
Just like swiping left and
You
right
get
all over
on
the
someone's
place.
DMs, like, you know, and here he is, they're like, yeah, it'll happen, and it won't. So
Aw.
that's
We have a message here from Damilola who says that she's currently living with her fiance with whom she has a son. And she says, I
Wow.
must confess I admire his courage to take full responsibility as we were both not ready for a kid at the time. So he's been making plans for our big wedding while we continue to share a roof. I just want to know, is there anything wrong with what we are doing? They're wedding planning, they have a son, they're living
I don't
under the
think-
same roof.
your
I don't
family.
think, yeah.
What's
Your
wrong
family.
with it?
Really?
Yeah,
With what you said before, like, don't do it.
No, I mean, you already
committed.
you already have a child.
No, but having a child
A
doesn't mean
whole
you're
child.
committed. Doesn't mean
True.
you're a
I mean, but
family.
obviously they both want to be with each other if
Yes.
they're planning
Yes.
a wedding. So at that point, they're already a family. It's just court documents and a ceremony that would, solidify it.
I mean, since you already gave up your freedom, you might as well. Yeah, I think that's the way to work. I know.
Give up your freedom.
Yes.
Wow.
No, because sorry, relationships are giving up a sort of freedom. Like especially
It is.
when it is.
But I mean, you can't
But you
look at it
choose
that
to.
way.
No.
You look at it as
it's a lovely replacement for the freedom
exactly.
that you've given up.
Thank
Don't get
you.
me wrong.
Thank you.
But since you've already decided I'm going to start a family, because once you have a child with someone, whether you get along or not, you're a family with that person,
And again, you're saving money.
Wow.
There are many ways to look at it.
Always about the money. You're saving money. Come on, diesel costs and everything.
True. True. Very true.
Now, when you're cohabiting with people, sometimes it's not just about, oh, I live in this particular place and we're both paying rent. Sometimes we move into somebody's parents' house.
That's deep.
You're shaking your head, but it happens.
I know. Oh, yeah.
So what are the rules of engagement in that situation? You're moving into the house of somebody that you're seeing, and you're staying with their parents.
None of you own anything there.
Do you understand?
No, but this is
basically
not
at a
even about
hotel.
ownership. This is about basic things like if the parents can technically give you a curfew.
Yes.
I'm locking my gates at 6 p.m.
Yes. When you're under anyone's house, this is, and I've had this conversation. God, are you trying to tell me something? I've had this conversation several times in the past few weeks. When you're under someone's roof, you live under their rules. It doesn't matter who that person is. You live under your landlord's rules. You live under your parents' rules, your spouse's or your family's rules. So if you're in someone else's parents' house, you must respect them. If they're telling you no generator at night, please don't go bring in a small, I better pass my neighbor. It's disrespectful. You must respect the rules of the house that you're under. And if you don't like it, you leave. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So no sex, no having babies under the
mean,
parents'
definitely
house
can
while
do
you're
that.
there.
If that's the rule, you
I don't
better
think they'll
stick
make
to
those
it.
kind of
And if they're
rules.
going to synagogue or church or whatever it is
go.
on Sunday morning,
if that's the
Saturday,
rule.
Friday, you
And-
must get up and go.
And if you're not feeling it, please fill yourself right on out the house. It's that simple.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you have to respect people's space. That's it. So if you are in their space, you respect their space. Just like if someone was in your space, you'd expect them to respect your space as well.
Thank you very much. This has been most enlightening. Thank you so much for watching Love Lounge this week. I hope we covered a lot of the things that you're concerned or questions you have about cohabiting with somebody. If not, please send us a message. Facebook, Twitter, we are here for you. Have you ever cohabited with somebody
Yes.
of the opposite sex?
Yes.